Okay, everybody, we're here for another episode of Canadian Talk, episode 94. And if you don't mind, I'm just going to do a little intro for you here, and then we'll get rolling. Um,
Great.
I've got Jake Cochrane on the podcast today. Is that how I pronounce it? Cochrane?
That's right. Yeah,
Scottish? Is
Cochrane.
that Scottish?
It is.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
beautiful. Okay, you can find him on all social medias at freshly underscore jaked. He's on YouTube and Instagram and all that type of stuff. If you want to get some of his merch, I know he sells some merch. It's called Dirt Daddy. You can probably just DM him on any social media and you can get some of that or go to his website. So I'm really happy to get Jake on the podcast today. Thanks for doing this today, man. I like you to me, you are basically like Fergie. Like you're so popular. Like I can't believe the amount of subscribers and followers you have. It's incredible. I've got it written down here. You have 120 times more followers than me on YouTube, 40 times more followers than me on Instagram, 15 times more followers than me on TikTok. Uh, but yet I've probably created probably 10 times the amount of content that you have. So it shows how talented you are. You're a very good videographer. I first came onto your content with the palette stuff. That's where we kind of connected because you do that as well. And I noticed a lot of my success, like that brought in a lot of the followers I even have now, wasn't directly from my podcast. It was from my palette videos, which is basically palette
Right.
deconstruct videos that I do and you do. We do it just kind of slightly differently though. I smash them apart. And I assume the reason why you're a little more efficient with yours than I am with mine is because I live right in the city. I have like a really solid supply of pallets. Um, I can the strength guide boards down the middle. I mostly scrap those unless I get some that are actual 2x4s, not the ones that have the piece missing.
Right.
Um, so I imagine that's why, because I think you're not living in the city anymore, right? So yeah, I came across you from the palette videos, and then I come to see that you're like funny. Your videos are very funny. They're consistent. You do callbacks, like that barbecue thing is hilarious that you do, and then I come to find out that you are a rapper. Can I call you a rapper, or do you call yourself something different?
Yeah. I kind of just say I make music, but
Yeah, you're a
I like
musician. Yeah.
rap in it a lot. So
Yeah,
yeah.
for sure. And you play lots of instruments in it as well. Like I read your little bio there on Spotify. It seems like you play quite a few instruments. What do you all use to make some of that music?
It's mostly digital now. So the computer really is like
Okay.
what. Um, I started out playing drums years ago. That was like where I kind of began, and then I've kind of like picked up things over the years. Um, I can't really probably sit down and like jam with people or whatever on anything except the drums, but I can definitely like tinker on the piano or like the guitar, stuff like that, and like enough to record little snippets that I can then use to build songs or beats or whatever.
Yeah, I
Um,
listened to like all your music on Spotify there. I really
oh,
liked
cool.
all the snippets and stuff that you kind of splice into the music. I love that. It reminded me a lot of like, let's say, Childish Gambino. It reminded me a lot of him. Uh,
Yeah, he's.
it also reminded me of. Do you know a rapper named Chandler? He's on TikTok mostly.
I think I might have come across him. I haven't really listened
Yeah,
to their
he's
though.
got that one really good song, "Nothing to It," that went pretty viral.
Hmm.
But yeah, that's who you reminded me of a lot.
Cool.
I made a little list of my favorite songs of yours. Probably my top four would be. I liked "What I Am." That was my number one. I would have to say. And
Cool.
then all is it all my shit or all of my shit?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
All
Uh-huh.
my shit.
Yeah.
I liked "Someday," and I liked "Anxious Attachment." That was another good one that I liked. If you
Cool.
had to pick like one of your favorite songs that you've ever made, because you have three albums, correct? And then you kind of just been releasing singles in 2024.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's three or so, and there's a couple more that or there's one more I think that isn't actually on Spotify for whatever reason. It didn't transfer when I changed my name to just Jacob Cochran.
Okay.
So I've got on there. Uh, I feel like my favorite stuff. It's just like every time I make a new song, that new song becomes my favorite song for
Nice.
like a couple weeks.
Yeah.
Because make music, it's very much like me just like coping with my emotions and shit, right?
Yeah.
So I just, whatever you're hearing me put out that week or whatever is like my my legitimate experience that week, right? So
Nice, nice.
for that or whatever. So yeah, I really like some of the new stuff. That song I put out, Watch, I listen to still quite a bit when I'm feeling like, what the fuck am I doing? Why am I, like when I'm burning out, basically. I'll
Yeah.
listen to that song. Like, okay, no, we're still going for it. We're still working.
Yeah. Yeah, I hear you, man. Yeah, we're following our dreams. Hey, that's what I think, that we're kind of similar in that way, where like we both kind of have a bit of a dream that we're kind of chasing after, and we're using the internet. That's what's interesting about your stuff, is that you seem to kind of have a strategy that you're using that's different for each different social media, sort of, to kind of maximize your growth. Like, for YouTube, well, I guess I don't know enough about it. Maybe you can tell me about it a little bit more, of like what that rise has been like maybe some of your biggest days where all of a sudden you saw a big follower jump. Like, what caused it? Was it your videos with the palettes, or your music, or what was some of that like?
Yeah, well, so really, I mean, I was making music for about 3.5 years, releasing videos regularly, and that was really where it started for me. I was, around COVID, I was just found my life basically completely falling apart, like totally changing, right? And I was like, well, what do I want to do? And what's like, if I could pick something that would really be my goal or my dream to pursue, what would that be? And it was music at that time. And I was like, well, you know, I see these people finding success as independent artists online. And I was like, well, I'll give myself 4 years and I'll just work at this and try to get somewhere with it. And if after 4 years I'm not getting any traction, then I guess it's just not for me at that point, and I'll just move on and do
Yeah.
something else, right?
Well, I
Or if
think
I'm
you've
not,
got some traction now. I think you're doing pretty good. Sorry, just to
yeah,
bring you back just a little stutter step. So when you say your life was falling apart during COVID, can you give me a little bit more details on that?
yeah. So, before I was doing any of this stuff, I was working for the farmers markets in Seattle, Washington, where I'm from.
Oh, very cool.
Uh, and I was working at a co-op there. We made food. It was just a food service job, but I was like, I joined, so I was a part owner, and I'd worked there for about 5 years. And through various political movements at that co-op, I found myself without a job at that point. Uh,
Oh,
like
okay.
when COVID started, basically. Um, and it was kind of this big dramatic moment for me. I kind of saw myself at least a part of that business for a long time for the future. So that was a really significant shift. And then I also at the time was getting into arborist work, like tree work.
That's
And
tough
I
work.
had I had gotten like some gear for it. I was starting to do some work on the side. And then kind of within like a month or so, right around the same time when all this drama was happening at the co-op, um, I all my gear got stolen out of my car, which was like
Oh,
1,500 here at the time, and I didn't really have a lot of money to put into it. And I also was working for another guy, and he was kind of training me up. And then COVID hit, and he was like, "I don't think we're gonna have work for a while." And
mm.
so, sure enough, I think it was the week after I lost the job at the co-op, I also lost my job with him.
Oh shit.
Uh,
I got a couple
yeah,
of things to add to that before you continue. Cause yeah, so like,
there,
cause I actually find that I think we're quite different in that way. Like, we are on opposite ends of the spectrum, I think, politically, just based on what I interpret potentially. To do with the woodworking. I interviewed a guy once who was a chainsaw carver. He's like one of the most famous wood artist carvers here in Canada. He did an amazing sculpture of Don Cherry. So yeah, being an arborist is pretty cool. I was gonna say though, like the COVID stuff, because and correct me if I'm wrong. I feel, because you worked at a food market. I've heard all your music and all your stuff. So my interpretation is that you are a little left leaning. You worked at a farmer's market, but so the COVID stuff didn't shake your left leaning nature at all.
well, I guess I I've never been super duper political. I was raised Republican. I was raised conservative,
Hmm.
uh, and very Christian. And then I, over time, kind of flipped the opposite direction and was more, leaning towards the left, and a lot of those like more, I guess, like progressive ideals or whatever people
Cool.
call them.
Yeah, we'll get
Right.
into that a little more for sure. So what? Tell me a little
But
bit
yeah,
about like what your upbringing was like. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
but I was just gonna say, COVID definitely shook up like my my I guess approach to all that stuff. I feel like I'm very much I guess independent. Like really, I just think the government is a crock of shit a
Yeah,
lot of
you
times.
just hate the government, eh? Yeah. Uh,
You know,
yeah.
yeah,
Cool. So tell me a little bit about like. So you grew up in Seattle.
yeah, yeah. I grew up in Seattle.
I hear it's a beautiful city. What was your upbringing like?
I let's see. I was raised by my mom for the most part. I My dad was not around pretty much from, I don't know, I was like 2 years old when he started fading out. And so my mom raised me. I had two sisters. And I pretty much grew up, in the city. We were definitely not wealthy. We weren't like destitute though. My mom was able to make it work and put some things together for us. But we definitely didn't grow up with a lot at that period.
Hmm.
Um, and so I think that continues to influence like what I do now and what I'm into now.
Yeah, you're such a handyman. Like when I see how much you can build out of so little, it's impressive. Like I'm pretty good at that stuff, but what you do sometimes is shocking. The video I saw the other day where you made like a little bridge over it was like an important might have been where your sewage comes out of your trailer or something like that, and you used rocks and you used other kind of silty fills and stuff like that. uh, and it was sturdy as fuck. I was like, holy shit. So yeah, that upbringing may have affected that a little bit. I didn't grow up with a dad either. I actually have two moms. My parents are gay, so
Oh wow,
I've never met my dad. I'm a sperm donor baby. I came out of a freezer. So uh,
interesting.
yeah, yeah,
Wow.
yeah. So that's very cool. Yeah, I hear Seattle's a really beautiful city. So what exactly made you want to get out of there and kind of do more of the off-grid stuff?
Well, kind of a lot of different things as I was growing up, but Seattle was pretty chill when I was growing up there. And then when I graduated high school in like 2009, a few years after that, I started to really notice a influx of people. Like the tech environment kind of took over the city, and most of the people that I grew up with at this point got priced out of the city or don't live there
Yeah,
anymore.
yeah.
And that happens with a lot of places, but I just found it not really like suiting me anymore.
Oh yeah.
While I was living in like a smaller trailer that I had kind of built, and I was parked on the street. And then I got like kicked out of that spot, and then I moved into the yard of some friends of mine and was living there for a little while. And I was kind of doing what I'm doing now, but in like a small city yard where I was just like salvaging stuff and building with it and whatnot. And then I got a notice from the city. I got kicked out of that spot. Like I had to clean it all out because the
Mm.
neighbors looked at the fence and been like, "Ooh, what's all this trash doing here?"
Yeah, it's part of the reason probably why you hate the government. Hey, yeah,
Well, it's a part of it. Yeah,
yeah.
I'm like, man, yeah, I think the government can provide valuable services, but I think that the United States government in particular has very different goals in mind than like serving its people, right?
Oh yeah. Okay,
Um,
a couple like rapid fire questions for you because I'm just curious because for me I got very lucky. Like I kind of didn't quite get priced out of the real estate market. I kind of latched onto that and got lucky with it where I'm from. Um, and I'm curious like what happened with you. So like oh shit, the question fell out of my head. Hold on. So yeah, in Canada we have a first time home buyer credit where like you get a house and you only have to put 5% down, which I mean for a $300,000 house, if you get a house in the ghetto or whatever, that's like 15K. So what do you guys not have that, or like did the real estate? Because I'm not sure. So one of the other rapid fire questions was how old are you? Because like if you're like 25, I guess that makes sense. I'm 32, but like Did you just miss it because of that whole real estate crisis in the US? Like, did they take away the 5% down payment thing, or did you just kind of not really even look into it? You just assumed that it wasn't possible.
Yeah. Well, so to start, I'm 33. I just turned 33 a couple months ago. Yeah. So it was kind of a bunch of factors again, but um, around when I was graduating high school, the real estate really started to take off in Seattle. So, you're looking at homes going from like a reasonable livable home going from like $150,000 to, up to 350 and then, 400, $500,000, which for me as a guy, I did community college, but I didn't really go into a career. Like I just started working whatever job I wanted to. Like it was food service. There was some trade jobs in there and stuff like that.
Yeah,
And I just making enough money. I mean,
yeah. Mortgages can be hard to get. Yeah,
yeah, in those days, it was hard for me to even save a couple $1,000s, especially being in my early 20s when that's like not really something that you're thinking about
for
that much, or
sure,
at least,
for
right.
sure.
Um, So yeah, I think I kind of missed the boat a little bit, really, and a lot of people in my age group did. Like, if we had graduated 5 years earlier, probably could have gotten into a home with a couple $1,000s down and like a reasonable mortgage. But I was obsessed with finding property for years.
Hmm.
That was my and to either find raw land or find something I could fix up. That's still like a goal and a dream of mine. But it just hasn't been like it hasn't felt reasonably possible. I
Yeah,
would need to 3 times my income right now
yeah.
to work, and that's kind of always been the case. So
Well, I hear you. Fair enough, man.
yeah,
Yeah, that she happens. Hey, yeah, money's kind of a tough one sometimes.
right.
Um, so I wanted to ask you more questions about your pallet cabin and kind of your off grid style. Like, do you you don't have to tell me specifics or anything, but did you find a really good place for your trailer now? Like, are you in a sweet spot? And like, is that where you're building your cabin, or
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I found that's part of what brought me out of Seattle. Actually, I'd wanted to move out for a long time, but just couldn't. I don't know. I just couldn't for whatever reason. And so recently, I was dating someone who moved out into the Port Angeles area, which is kind of like north west of Seattle, out on the Olympic Peninsula, about like 2.5 hours away. Um,
nice?
Generally,
I hope she's better than the girl who inspired the Heartbreak album, or was that
same
multiple girls?
one, believe it or not. Yeah, same one, and we're actually still dating. So
Oh, fair enough.
it's funny
Okay,
how things work out that way.
yeah, no doubt.
Uh, but yeah, so she moved out here. I started visiting, and I was like, I think I'd be really happy out here. And then I was looking for a place to live, kind of just not super seriously, kind of just poking around. And I found this property, which I could essentially lease out for the same price as the room that I was living in a basement in Seattle with my
Yeah,
sister
yeah, yeah.
and brother. And so, and it had a spot for a trailer, and then it has about probably about half an acre of like cleared open land. It had a little woodshed on it, and then it has like another 2 acres of land behind it that are just like wetland, super thick forest. And
Oh,
I was like, you know what? Dude? I brought my best friend out. She checked it out, and she was like, "Dude, this is perfect. You should move out here."
yeah,
So I just sent it. I was like, "Why not? Like, I really am not. All
nice.
I'm doing is a restaurant in Seattle. I'm drinking too much. I'm smoking too much. I don't this life. I don't
Fair
want
enough.
to.
That was actually one of my next questions was because you talk about sobriety a lot in your music and stuff, and I was curious where you were at with that. Like if there was a Seattle sober, kind of like how there's a California sober, because like
Yeah.
I drink a lot of beer as well myself. And especially because your handle online is freshly Jake, so I'm like I assumed this guy loves weed. But for me, I had to recently kind of quit weed. Like I have like some breathing issues. I don't know
Mm.
what caused it, but so I'm off it a little bit. I do it a little less now, but then the beer kind of filled its space a little bit. But so, what's your kind of journey with sobriety and stuff like that? Do you handle the stuff? You're Scottish, so you must handle alcohol pretty good and all that kind of stuff, just like me.
Yeah, well, we've got it in our blood. My family for sure has it has the alcohol. So me and my sister definitely can drink, but my dad an alcoholic, so and to the degree like that word gets tossed around a lot. I think the point being
Yeah,
that Ended up drinking a lot, blacking out, getting a lot of DUIs, and then going to jail for the most of my young life. So that influenced my like interest in drinking a lot as a kid. And I struggled with it a lot as far as like how much I wanted to let it into my life.
Yeah.
So now I still drink. I would call myself more like sober curious.
Yeah.
Like when it comes to weed, I started smoking weed when I was like 19, I think, or 18, and I pretty much, after I was 23, I think I was stoned every day. In the morning I would smoke, and then I would go to work, and it was
Yeah.
just normal for me. Like, what I
Yeah.
did.
Sounds
Um,
exactly like myself.
yeah,
Yeah. Well, I was a little longer. I didn't start alcohol until I was about 23, and weed about the same, which is probably why I was able to use it so heavily for so long. I was the same way, did it every 2 hours, and uh, it was a good time though. It's like a phase in life that I think can be good if you keep it under control. Like
yes,
everybody needs to spiritually grow a little bit. Like I feel like I've got the Joe Rogan fucking opinion on the whole thing, where it's like I feel like it did make me a nicer person, and I feel like I learned my lessons from it. And then eventually, well, I was not going to stop until my body told me, "Hey, you have to stop." But
right.
I'm not. I think it's a good phase for some people who need it. Did you play any sports growing up?
Not really. I actually had pretty bad asthma when I was a kid.
Mm.
And so I just never really got into sports heavily. I tried, I tried a lot. My mom had me in baseball when I was a kid, like a little kid, and I tried most sports. But the asthma was really hard for me because I would have to hit my fucking albuterol like once every half an hour if I was trying to do a sport. I did get into like swimming because that didn't give me asthma for whatever reason. I played a lot of like ultimate frisbee at church and stuff. And then I kind of got into like longboarding, skating, stuff like that. So that was kind of my athletic like outlet for a long time.
Cool. Very cool.
Um,
Yeah, at least you tried. That's good.
yeah.
Um. So what inspired you to be a musician? Like, who is your favorite rapper? Can you tell me a little bit? Because I'm not a big music guy. Like I'm more of I pretty much watch podcasts, hours a day and exercise, and that's pretty much all I do. And so I'm curious what inspired you to do this career that you're on now.
Yeah, well, the music, started a long time ago. Like I started making music digitally with my friend over a decade ago. I used to play a lot of video games. That was my thing
Oh
for
yeah.
high school
What games
and
did you
middle school.
like? A little aside,
Uh,
what games did you like?
I liked a lot of stuff. I played a lot of like Modern Warfare and like Halo and stuff at first, and
Oh
then I
yeah.
got into World of Warcraft and I played the shit out of World of
Oh,
Warcraft for
World of
like
Warcraft is so addicting. Hey, did you get to be a 50 in Halo?
no, nope,
No.
never was quite.
Oh, so you
Uh,
weren't that addicted.
Nah. I loved it, but I didn't. My brother, my stepbrother, was the one with the Xbox, and I could only play if he like let me play. So I
Gotcha.
would try to like sneak in and play online when he wasn't
Yeah.
home and stuff.
I was addicted
Yeah.
to Halo and World of Warcraft. I liked as well, but the vastness of it scared me. Kind of like
Mm.
why I wouldn't do like cocaine is why I wouldn't touch World of Warcraft. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah. World of Warcraft was my first addiction by far, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
I was caught on that.
Yeah.
Um, but let's see. What was the
We were talking
question
about
again?
video games as to what and your music journey.
So one of the guys I played World of Warcraft with, we connected because we both liked Paramore at the time, and I was learning how to drum to Paramore's album. Um, and that's kind of what I would do every day. I'd just come home from community college. I'd hole up in the garage and I would just like play drums for an hour just to like deal with my emotions at the time.
Yeah, drumming is good for that. Hey, at community
Yeah.
college, did you do some sort of a? You must have done some sort of a degree in media or videography, right? Because like that's how you got so good at it, or did you just self teach yourself everything that you do with your editing?
Honestly, the vast majority of what I do in general is self-taught. So
Wow.
video been, if you could go back and look at the content I was releasing 4 years ago, you might have a different opinion about like my video skills.
Same
It's
with my
I
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I really started trying to learn how to do it well. Yeah, a couple years ago, just because um, I was looking for a career. Basically, I was like, I want to do something that's not working food service,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
photo and video seemed like a possibility for me.
Nice.
So
Yeah, I started my
yeah,
podcast about 6 years ago. What kind of food service did you work in?
I've kind of done a lot. I mean, I worked at that co-op for a while, which we made tamales and quesadillas. That was like
Yeah,
our thing. I worked at
cultural
breweries.
appropriation.
Yeah, we made white people Mexican food for sure. Is what I joke about. Um, I've done all sorts of stuff. Mostly now I work at like breweries, bars, stuff like that. Like places where you don't really have to give the highest level of service. You know, it's more relaxed and casual. I worked on a cruise ship for a bit. That was pretty cool.
Oh, that's fun.
Couple, yeah, a couple. That was right after COVID. That was a job I did, and it was fun. You know, just whatever. I've worked in the back, I've worked in the front, I've you know, been like on the management side. I've done a lot of shit with it.
Oh, cool.
Right, a cafe, and
Yeah,
it's a old person cafe, and it's very
gotcha.
relaxed.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's stressful stuff. That's the kind of stuff that will traumatize a person just enough to kind of make them go towards the arts. So yeah, like
yeah.
continue on. Like so musicians you like, what inspired you other than obviously, you know,
So
being
I
in the
started making
trenches work wise.
right. I started making music with this buddy who played World of Warcraft,
So
and
Paramore
we
is your favorite artist or
no, Paramore was just an inspiration at the time. I think well, who's really inspired me was Childish Gambino is a big one for
no
me. That
fucking way. I guessed it. Are you kidding me?
yeah,
Oh
yeah.
my
I wouldn't
god.
call him like my favorite, but as far as like a creative personality, like Donald Glover is so cool to me because he's got his hands in so many different
I
things,
know.
and like thing he does is so good, like
So
so
good.
well done.
Yeah, even his
You know,
stand-up special. Do you know that he has a stand-up special that's pretty all right?
that was one of the first times I ever came across him was from
Yeah.
stand up. You know, way back when he was a little fucking goober
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
hilarious. Or like Community, he was on that show Community and
Yeah, he was
really
great
funny on
on that show. He's a good actor too. Yeah.
right. So yeah, he was a big inspiration for me because I've always been like a multifaceted creative person. Like I when I was in high school, I wanted to do T-shirt designs. I wanted
Please go subscribe to our YouTube page, Canadian Talk with Stephan podcast. We need you down there. Also, we have a website, Stephanjackson.ca, where you'll find the audio versions. As well, you can email us if you got a question or anything you want to see us talk about. Canadian Talk with Stephan at gmail.com.
to draw stuff like that, and then you know I kind of got hooked on music. I started learning to rap from with my friend who I was making music with in my early 20s and got hooked on that. I was like, maybe I can do this, and then you know I didn't know what to do with that, and so and then the building is like also an extension of that for me too. It's like a way for me to be creative but with a more like concrete physical product,
Yeah, yeah.
right? um, so yeah, so I also really loved and still love Mac Miller. I feel like he was a total loss to the generation, you know, R.I.P.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's tough.
but
Eh? And all over, I mean, do you think it's over a girl or do you think, like, what do you think caused him to do that? Do you think that he was just kind of maybe it was drugs, or he didn't think he was successful enough, or do you think it was all truly over that girl there? I forget her name.
honestly, I feel like drugs is probably the easiest answer to that question.
Yeah,
You know, what causes somebody to go down that track is who knows, right? I mean, that's a huge personal journey, but I
yeah,
remember when you know he first popped off or started showing up on YouTube, and I started listening to his stuff, and I was like, oh, this kid's fun, like you
yeah,
know, he's got such a good thing going on. And then I remember there was a time where I started to notice his music shift, where he like was clearly struggling with a lot of heavy shit and just like drugs all the time kind of thing. And I was like, oh man, I hope this kid is okay. Like, I hope he
yeah,
makes it out of it. Some
yeah,
people don't.
yeah.
And then, I mean, sure
Yeah,
enough,
yeah,
like,
he went the bad way, yeah, for sure. And you know Juice World. I also liked him a lot, and he
yeah,
same pretty much
right.
same fate. Yeah,
similar
So
story.
yeah, so cool. And now you're here. I mean, it's funny because like in a lot of your songs too, you talk about how you go, oh, you don't think you're going to get famous or anything like that. I really think that you're being too hard on yourself. I think that you're already there. Um, like I
Appreciate
said, I think you just got to keep going and like because your music is so good, and as long as you just continue on that, but just yeah, I guess find a niche. I mean, I don't know, what would you say your niche is in the music? Because like you say you're not very political, but I find that a lot of it leaks through somehow still. Like I had on my notes here, I was going to talk to you about what was it? It was fuck the president. Was that one of your
Oh yeah,
songs? Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, man. I mean, I guess when I say I'm not political, I feel like I'm not. I don't affiliate or identify with a political party. I personally, you know, I'm
What do you
sure
think about
many.
the RFK thing? Because he would have been probably your guy, I bet. And
Yeah,
now he's joined with Trump Dog. What do you think about that?
I was like, thank you. There's somebody here that like actually is saying some shit. I personally don't really believe in politicians in general. I feel like if you're at that level, if you're running for president, you're so like you're just a figurehead for
For
the
sure.
like larger machinations of like
Yep.
the and the goals of the
So,
people in.
but then I have to ask you this. Then, sorry to cut you off. Is then
Yeah,
if you understand that aspect of it, then why hate them? Because like you as a musician, right? You will eventually have to manage your image to large portions of people. And
mhm,
as I think you may know already, that's very hard to do. It is a separate profession in itself. That's kind of what politicians do is
right.
they just usher the people. They try to pretend that they're listening to the people. So like it's easy to say that you can hate them or that you don't believe in them as a profession, but do you ever think that there's like that maybe that might change?
Yeah, possibly. I mean, I think what might change that for me as far as my opinions about the political environment in the United States is if I saw the political environment leading to significant change for myself or the people in my community, or the people in communities that are, worse off than the people in my community. Like, I just feel like I get so I'm so over the like save face, like say what people want to hear when you're in front of the microphone, and then behind closed doors you just do whatever the fuck you want, or you do whatever the billionaire class is asking you to do, or whatever the corporate environment wants you to push.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's my feeling and opinion of it. I'm very jaded around
Yeah,
all of it.
yeah. Uh-huh. I
I
sorry.
personally believe that can lead to a lot of change for us. I feel like we have to make change for us.
Yeah, fair
But
enough. Okay, okay. Because so I've got a question for you because we're kind of over the hump of kind of the beginning stuff. So I got a couple questions for you that are a little bit more on the difficult side. If we can try to delve into that, because
sure,
only a small percentage of people make it past 30 minutes on the podcast and stuff like that. So let me ask you a couple of more deep questions here. So
sure.
in regards to um, you believing that your community is disparaged and things along those lines, and that you need to see change and stuff like that. Um, what would that look like to you? What would change look like to you?
I feel like
Because just
healthcare.
really quickly, let me cut you off. Let me cut you off.
Yeah,
Sorry, sorry. Like, because so like right now, so on paper, you're living in a trailer on a plot of land. So somebody might be like, this guy lives in a trailer. So that's on paper. But then there's me, right? In a sense, on paper, I live in a garage. Okay, it's a garage that I built and then I remodeled and attached to my house. So I'm living in a house, but on paper, somebody could say I'm living in a garage. So like, there comes a time where maybe you accept or you look at what you have as in a more positive way. So like, because technically there is a way to look at what you have as not, oh, I live in a trailer, fuck the government. There's a way of looking at it as I live in a large plot of land that somehow is defended. Nobody can come and take it. The Native
sure.
Americans aren't coming to fucking, you know, pillage or whatever there may be 150 years ago. That type of stuff does deserve a certain amount of thought. Don't you think?
Yeah, for sure. I think that I don't look at myself as a victim by any means. I think that I'm living this life because I chose this life in a lot of ways. You know, and I could have chosen a career where I would make more money and where I kind of would like play the game a little bit more, so to speak,
Yeah,
and be rewarded playing the game more.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, I have a ton of freedom. I have a
which
ton
is
of freedom.
huge. That's a huge
I,
thing. Yeah,
I have a huge amount of privilege in that way in my life, and in many ways, and I'm really grateful for that. I think I get when it comes to the government and their role in our lives. I guess I just wish that we would see that like them step in a little bit more when it comes to like taxing the billionaire class, or the more wealthy leaning people at a higher rate, and then actually dispersing that money into the community in some form or another, rather than in the United States, where the majority of our federal tax dollars just end up going overseas for for war purposes, or for expanding the empire, so to speak. I would love to see our country like provide us with a better solution for like healthcare for everybody. Um, and like this whole like there's just so much, there's so many things. Like the student loan situation here is wild. The like the housing market in a lot of places is wild. Like the ability for corporations or hedge funds to come in, buy single family housing in mass, and then like rent it out to people at a premium, so that we can't even the average person can't afford to compete with the money that they have at their disposal.
for sure, for
um,
sure. Yeah, like BlackRock.
like
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I completely agree with the healthcare. I completely agree with a lot of what you're saying for sure. Um, I guess I have nothing to add. Please continue.
yeah,
I'm just saying I agree. That's good stuff.
yeah,
That's good stuff.
yeah,
And
yeah,
the billionaire class and all of that. It's just
yeah,
um, what can we do? I mean, like, because at the end of the day, all we need to do is because you get mad at the politicians for kind of their facade and how they keep that going. But in a sense, what are we going to do if the facade goes away? It's going to be the purge, you know.
right, right.
So yeah,
Yeah,
we don't want that either, do we?
yeah, a lot of people I knew were worried about, the first time Trump getting elected, that, he was gonna just push
Yeah,
forward and become a dictator,
yeah. Can I
and
get your opinion on that? Like, so Trump has won before, and he might win again. Who do you have somebody that you're rooting for? For the election is coming up. Do you have somebody you're rooting for?
not really. No,
No.
at this point, I liked RFK. I felt like he was a really cool option that, we haven't seen somebody like that in a while. And I was hoping he would kind of just ride it out and just, give us something else to vote for. Um, Trump, Trump is ridiculous. He's a ridiculous human being, and like I just
Yeah,
I'm like, I don't know. He's like Ronald Reagan in that way, where he's just
yeah,
an actor
yeah,
really
for
playing
sure,
a
for sure. Yeah. One other
I
thing. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, you're fine. I don't have much really to say about Trump, other than like, it's hard for me to get over like the personal aspects of his character, to be like, yeah, I would vote for this guy,
Yeah,
because I just he's a douchebag and he's got a ton of money. Like that's not the kind, and he's old. That's not the person that I'm looking for at this
yeah,
point.
yeah.
So,
Did you like? What'd you like? You like Yang or you like Buttigieg or what?
oh, I don't even know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm
Um,
see, I'm not tuned in to the degree.
okay. One other thing
That,
I'm curious about is like your view on let's say. So sorry, I know we're a bit away from music here. Let me just
oh, you're
re-say, you're an awesome musician. Go check out his songs on Spotify. You talk about
appreciate it.
great stuff, and you're amazing at what you do with making the music. But I'm
Thank
curious, because I've heard some other things in your songs about like or in your videos about let's say the climate. So
you.
do you believe that like tell me what you think about the climate and climate change and because in Canada it's a huge thing up here. Like we pay more taxes than you guys, and
Mm,
I used to be real big on the climate. I used to be like, fuck, climate change is crazy. The ice caps are melting. The algae, it's going to disappear and it won't be able to do what it does and all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. And I used to be fully into it because I would hear the stat in elementary school and university and high school where they go, 99% of scientists agree that oh shit's crazy. And I've seen Al Gore's documentaries where he's like, look at this graph, it's steep. And
Right.
so I was fully into it. And then I get a little older, and sometimes I start to question it a little bit because uh, I because cars exist, and people can like people can leave. So like if the sea level rises, if I just don't feel like I used to where I used to think, oh, this is an existential crisis, like this could kill us all. I don't feel that way anymore. So when I think about the government being involved in it and taxing us based on that, like, oh, we got to help people get away from littering and from, like, I get it where you like, okay, tell the corporations not to dump shit in lakes and stuff, and if you catch them, hold them accountable. I'm all for not dumping shit in lakes. But if we really cared about the environment, the energy sector would not be what it is. There's all these ways that they're just like starvation and things like that, which are major global issues that we have the solutions to them already, but they're kind of out there being used as tools in a way because, like, look at nuclear power. I have a good understanding of the energy sector. I would like to say, and it's like the fact that we are not nuclear power plants are not everywhere in North America. I think is a, literally proof that this is kind of a sham, the whole climate thing, because
Mm.
we can make as much energy as we want. We should close every petrochemical plant. We should close every solar farm. We should close well, solar in particular. Maybe wind is okay, but the the renewable energy stuff, my technical understanding of it is that it is not what you want. And like, I'm not a pro Elon guy either. So sorry, I'm kind of rambling here, but
Very good.
like, I'm not all for that electrical revolution at all. I still think the internal combustion engine is a beautiful invention of freedom that I wish people could understand more and utilize in their lives. A car can last you 50, 60, 70 years, and a Tesla will not last you more than 15 years, period. The batteries will be dead. You will have to pay the cost of the car to replace the batteries because that's the primary value of the car. It's in a Mazda body. It's just a Mazda with batteries in it. So
Mm.
like, what are we doing here with and you end up putting more weight on the electrical generators than, because you need all this electricity to charge the cars anyway. So I I really think that I have strong feelings about the climate movement, and I don't feel that. And I talk about this with a lot of my guests, but I don't feel that taxation is the way to solve it. I think it's something that can be solved more in a retroactive way. We see what happens. You're telling me that we're going to have another ice age? How about let's let it happen first, and then let's get people in cars, move them away from the ice, and then let's all be safe, and then reevaluate from there. And I know some people might say this is insanely ignorant point of view. Lives will be lost in the process of that. Not everybody has the resources to relocate.
Mm.
Sure. But what are we going to do instead? Just tax the middle class? Like, we have a carbon tax here in Canada that it literally puts some people below the affordability mark for life. Like
Mm.
like for me, because I own multiple houses, like my gas and my water and all that stuff, it went up by like 25%. So let's say my utility bill used to be $250 a month. Now it's like $400 a month just because of the carbon tax, which is primarily for the environment stuff. And
Yeah.
I don't think that that's fair to, I don't think the middle class should ever get punished. Well, I'm like with you, where I think that we need to attack the polls. Like, who are we going to sacrifice? The billionaires or the people who are like, you know, I'm going to do meth all day and just live on the street? Because guess what? This sidewalk is concrete and I can sit on it. So
Mm.
I believe in protecting the middle class is kind of my main political agenda. But yeah, well, I don't know. What do you think about that? Sorry, there's no question on the end of that, but
No, you're fine. Yeah, I mean, I think the climate thing. I too was in the same similar place for a long time. I was definitely like looking back, kind of like a self-righteous climate warrior type of guy for a while. I really believed that we had the power to shift the direction of things if we wanted to, as individuals and on a larger scale, which I still believe that. I think that there are like um, tons of potential alternatives to what we kind of have been doing as a society that is contributing significantly to our planet becoming less and less hospitable in certain areas, um, you know, than it used to be. I think that at the same time, until those like solutions become more profitable, they're probably not going to get implemented in mass because that's just how things seem to work. Out
Yeah.
here, like the people who are really able to push for change are the people who have a lot of money to do so, or the companies who look like they're probably going to benefit from that, in
Yeah.
my opinion.
Yeah.
So you know, as far as climate change goes, I'm not going to claim to know whether or not it's legit, whether or not the the world is like we used to think global warming, right? Now we're like climate change because clearly some places are not getting hotter. The climate there is just shifting in a different way. Sea level rise seems like it's legitimate because there are cities on the coast or islands that are getting swallowed up by the sea, right? Or
I just
year after year.
wonder. I just wonder if like the Earth will shift itself in such a way that it will hopefully be able to balance that. It just started
Yeah,
pouring rain here. Sorry, if you don't mind, I'll completely change the topic. This is good stuff, good climate stuff.
go for it.
What's your favorite kind of beer?
My favorite beer. Oh man. So I started out drinking IPAs back in the day.
Oh, that's
Big
gay.
Washington. If you come here and you go to Seattle, be prepared to see IPAs.
Yeah,
It's just
a little bit
you'll go
more
to a place.
sour. Hey, yeah,
What,
IPAs are a
what'd you
little
say?
sour. Yeah,
Bitter for sure. We
yeah,
like the flavor. I for a while was trying to reduce the alcohol percentage of the beer I was drinking, so I was drinking more like pilsners and lagers and stuff like that.
for sure. I find that the sweet spot is Canadian beer is like kind of 5%. I actually
Yeah,
find the sweet spot is if you want to have one every couple hours or whatever. The sweet spot is kind of like, and they make them a lot here now too. Is like 3.5% or a light
yeah,
beer, which is 4%. You can have those all day and be fine. You know.
right.
So I
Yeah.
feel like that's the sweet spot, kind of like 4%. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, well, nowadays I'm back on the IPA train, so the average is about like 5.9 to like 7%.
Ooh,
Um,
dastardly. Yeah,
so yeah, like, nasty.
yeah,
And I really just drink like one, maybe one and a half at the end of my shift at work, because I get one for free because I work at a restaurant, and so I have my one, and I just ride that out. And if I'm hanging out with my family and we're going golfing that day or something, then we're probably gonna start drinking in the morning with like Brass Monkeys,
nice.
and just okay.
Okay,
But yeah, I IPAs now because all you need is that one, and
yeah.
it gets you where you're going. You
Yeah.
know,
And the taste has like a long after effect, so you kind of feel like you're still drinking with that bitterness. Okay, I got a few
right?
questions for you. First one is about golf, but I'll remember that one. So I've been watching a lot of your videos to do with the building, and because as a structural engineer, I feel like I might have some tips for you if you have any questions like that or anything. And I could also use some advice if you have it for me about the video stuff because I want to get a new camera, but I'm not entirely sure on which one to get. But
Right.
I've got it written down here because you right now you're dealing with kind of water resistance stuff for you're building stuff, and you're like, what am I going to do for water resistance and that kind of a thing. I was curious in the United States, you guys have like a SAR can? We have what's called a SAR can here where people bring in their bottles and cans for like to get money back. Do you guys have that?
Some states do. I think that Oregon does. Washington does not right now.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Okay. Because at our SAR can, see that I guess would be the problem because I know you're on the tight budget part type of building. What I do for mine is Sarcan here, where people bring their cans and bottles. They also bring their old paint or their unused paint. And I was gonna say,
Cool.
because like for me, the best water resistant stuff is just paint. And like
Right.
if you can get plastic, like plastic bags or poly, rolls of poly can sometimes be quite cheap. So if you
Yeah.
can get like cheap rolls of garbage bags from the dollar store or something like that, that's the way to go, and just seal them up really good. And if you can, yeah, like cover your paint, your wood with paint. That's the key. And as soon as possible, because I noticed you were making some of your videos where it's like, I noticed the wood was exposed for as long as a week or 2 weeks. As
Yeah.
soon as you get it in place, you want to get that paint on there immediately.
Mm.
So that would be my main advice for that. It's too bad you guys don't have a Sarcan up there with free paint. You know?
Yeah, that would be sweet. I mean, I'm always looking for like waste streams like that to sort
Yeah,
of leverage.
yeah,
Um, Planning on just using like a house wrap type product. I don't know if you guys have something like that up there.
yep.
I've never used it before. It's supposedly water resistant. You know, you see obviously Tyvek is on every new construction these days. And I was looking at a roll. I can get a roll at Home Depot for like $30 to cover the entire cabin. And I was like, well, we can try it. You know, the cabin is, if I was gonna build a home that I was gonna live in for the next 20 to 50 years, I would not do everything I'm doing with this, you know?
Hmm.
This is like an just like an experiment to see like what happens and
Well,
what
yeah,
works.
for sure. But it will also raise the value of your property and stuff like that. So you do have to look at it as an investment.
Sure.
So for your walls, for like the diaphragm and for your roof, what's your plan on that? Like, I assume you're not going to use sheathing because sheathing is really expensive, like plywood, sorry, or whatever you call it. Are you going to be doing planks horizontally? Is that what your plan is?
Yeah, I think so. So I looked at some of your what you were doing with the shingles too, and you kind of have it seems like you use the boards vertically
Yeah,
to create shingles, right?
yeah.
So I was thinking on the roof, I would basically just have some vertical spacers that I could do horizontal planks on. And use the 5.5 inch planks to get a little bit more length out of them. So that would be kind of like the roof, whatever you call them, shingles, long. I don't know. They probably have a word that they use. And then for the walls, I was thinking more like what you do, like the vertical,
Yeah,
you
shake.
know,
Yeah,
yeah, the shake. And because I really like the way that it looks. You know, I think it's cool, and you can use any length of board. Like I don't have to have long. That's like the biggest challenge about this whole freaking build is like getting lumber that is longer than 4 feet. Like,
exactly. Yeah, yeah. That's
you
what's so
know,
good about the shake style is you just have to have 12 or 14-inch pieces,
right?
and you're all good. Another thing I was going to ask you is your stud width. I noticed that you're doing kind of 4x4s. So that
Mhm,
should get you, you can do 24, 36-inch spacing on that. That's like the numbers for, at least in Canadian engineering. What
mhm.
are you gonna do 4x4s the whole way, or are you gonna do some 2x4 studs at like 12 inches on center, or what are you looking to do for your studs?
Yeah, initially I had planned on doing kind of the 4x4s at 48-inch spacing,
Okay,
and then 2x4s in between. So I would be like 24 on center roughly.
perfect.
Um, I don't know if I'm actually going to do it. I think I might just see, how strong it is with the 4x4s and the bracing that I've put up to like transfer the load into the four by
Oh,
fours.
it'll be strong, man. I wouldn't worry about strength at all.
Mm,
When you build your diaphragm, which is like those planks, those horizontal planks, when you attach those all the way around,
yeah,
everything will stiffen up and the thing will be like a rock. Just
cool.
use as much nails as you can. Like, well, I prefer to
Yeah,
use screws. That's my thing, but
right.
nails work too. Um,
Yeah,
and you seem to be pretty good at like banging those things in there. So just use as
yeah. I've
many of those as you can. Yeah,
always been a screws guy actually until this build. This was the first time I really committed to trying to use nails.
yeah,
And mostly that was just for price reasons and like just the challenge and learning how to use them. And
yeah,
I've read that nails are better for shear strength,
yep,
but like not pull apart strength, right?
yep.
So
Yeah,
you
they
know,
are. It's different. Different engineers have different opinions. All right, so a couple last questions before I let you go here. I'm curious, do you like comedy? Like, who's your favorite comedian?
oh man, I do love comedy.
Stephan Jackson.
Yeah, top right there. Um, you Let's see. I grew up watching Whose Line Is It Anyway?
Oh
If
yeah,
you've ever, yeah.
Colin
So
Mockery. Who is it?
yeah,
Wayne Brady, or which one do you like?
I grew up watching the U.S. one, so
Oh
Ryan Stiles I think was on there, and
yeah,
gosh, I forget that other guy's name, but you know, that was like one of my favorite things these days. I don't like keep a favorite comedian necessarily, but I do still love, like, I'll put on stand up if I just want to like zone out and you know, chill for a little bit.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, definitely, I definitely appreciate comedy.
Cool.
You know,
Do you watch any podcasts on a regular basis?
no, I'm not really like a super big podcast subscriber. I usually will use podcasts when I want to like learn about a specific topic, and I'll just kind of like go on Spotify and search for the topic and pick whatever one.
Oh yeah.
You know,
So you
look
use Spotify kind of like YouTube then. I do that. I use YouTube for that.
nice.
So are you ever going to start a podcast yourself?
I don't know, maybe. I think it would be fun. You
It's a
know,
lot of work, but I mean, the more you do,
I
because like you already do so much, but yeah, I wouldn't
yeah.
want it to get in the way of your music, but it can
Well,
really help with because honestly, it's just a big brainstorming vehicle. Like I do the interview stuff now, so because I like to meet people and I like to promote people, but really, when you find yourself just talking for an hour a day or an hour every couple days, it might help you with your music. Like it might help you find some things you want to talk about and clarify your own voice. You know, that's the biggest benefit I have found from it
yeah,
personally. So I think you should start
yeah.
one, but you do you. You
Cool.
know.
Cool. Yeah. I mean, I hope that I can get to a point where I'm making money with my content at some point, you know, enough that I can shave off days that I have to work, like at a restaurant or something. And then I can actually have more time to apply to these other things I want to do. Right. Cause
Hmm.
I've definitely thought about it. I'm just like, man, how am I going to fucking have time to do any of this shit? I can
Yeah.
barely keep doing right now, you know?
Yeah,
So
I hear you. Well, I think we're well over an hour, so I just want to thank you for coming on the show very much, man. So you guys, you can find him online at freshly underscore Jaked on all platforms. Go listen to his music like crazy on Spotify. And yeah, thanks for coming on, man.
yeah, thanks, Stephan. This was a great time.
Okay,
Glad we
that's
made it happen.
Canadian Talk. That's Canadian Talk out. Please go subscribe to our YouTube page, Canadian Talk with Stephan podcast. We need you down there. Also, we have a website, Stephanjackson.ca, where you'll find the audio versions. As well, you can email us if you got a question or anything you want to see us talk about. Canadian Talk with Stephan at gmail.com.